All right. Hello. Kevin here. Live. And let's see. We have our good friend Walden with the edited by Jeffrey S. Kramer. And last time we did a little intro. I think we're ready to start page 1 here. All right. So, page 1, and just some background. I was looking today. Walden, written by Henry David Thoreau. It was in the 1800s. He was writing this in 1840s, 1850s, right in the time when one of the biggest issues of the day was slavery. He was friends with Emerson, and who let him build this a little house in the woods next to Walden Pond. So here we go. First chapter is called Economy. Let's see how this goes here. And so let's just we'll dive right in. When I wrote the following pages, or rather the bulk of them, I lived alone in the woods, a mile from any neighbor, in a house which I had built myself on the shore of Walden Pond in Concord, Massachusetts, and earned my living by the labor of my hands only. I lived there 2 years and 2 months. At present, I am a sojourner in civilized life again. I should not obtrude my affairs so much on the notice of my readers if very particular inquiries had not been made by my townsmen concerning my mode of life, which some would call impertinent, though they do not appear to me at all impertinent, but considering the circumstances, very natural and pertinent. Some have asked what I got to eat if I did not feel lonesome, if I was not afraid, and the like. Others have been curious to learn what portion of my income I devoted to charitable purposes. And some, who have large families, how many poor children I maintained. I will therefore ask those of my readers who feel no particular interest in me to pardon me if I undertake to answer some of these questions in this book. In most books, the I, or first person, is omitted. In this, it will be retained. That, in respect to egotism, is the main difference. We commonly do not remember that it is, after all, always the first person that is speaking. I should not talk so much about myself if there were any. Now we're on page 2. Anybody else whom I knew as well. Unfortunately, I am confined to this theme by the narrowness of my experience. All right. So that's page 1 and the beginning of second page. And I thought I'd just go through some of the annotations here to give us a little bit better perspective on what Henry David, I've read earlier on Wikipedia that he originally was named David Henry Thoreau and then changed it. So let's read the annotations here and give some context. So number 1, and this was a footnote to the line, when I wrote the following pages, or rather the bulk of them, I lived alone in the woods a mile from any neighbor. And so this goes to this footnote. Number 1, Much nearer than a mile were the Irish railroad laborers whom Thoreau saw on his daily walks, as he mentioned later in this chapter, along with the, quote, shanties which everywhere border our railroads. Although the railroad was completed before he moved to Walden and the shanties were being sold off, not all the railroad workers had moved on. Even as late as the 31st of December, 1851, Thoreau, quote, observed this afternoon the old Irish woman at the shanty in the woods. Thoreau's residence at Walden also coincided for several months with that of Hugh Quoyle, or Quoyle. Thoreau noted his proximity in his journal. I had one neighbor within half a mile for a short time when I first went into the woods, Hugh Quoyle. In, quote, former inhabitants, end quote, Thoreau claimed that he had, quote, not remembered him as a neighbor because of the limited overlap of their time there. Right, footnote 2. All right, and this goes with, at present I am a sojourner in civilized life again. And now to the footnote. Thoreau looked at the stages of his life as temporary sojourns or experiments, and he wrote an early journal entry. I don't want to feel as if my life were a sojourn any longer. He may have felt his sense of temporariness from having had 8 residences in the 12 years after graduating from Harvard in 1837. So yeah, that's footnote 2. So and that's a point about Thoreau. He went to Harvard. It seemed like he met some folks there. I believe, I'll double check this. I think he dropped out at some point. And then later, I saw someone said that he basically paid $5 for his degree at Harvard, which is the equivalent of about $150 today. I'm not sure. I'll want to double check on that. But if anyone out there knows more details about that, definitely let us know in the comments. I'd be interested to hear more. Now footnote number 3. And just to give you another glimpse of the book here. We're here on page 1. And off on the side here, we're on footnote 3. And this is a footnote to inquiries. I should not obtrude my affairs so much on the notice of my readers if very particular inquiries had not been made of my townsmen concerning my mode of life. And so we explain this a little bit more. So, the footnote. Particular inquiries had been made even before Thoreau moved to Walden, as he noted in his journal for the 24th of December, 1841. We had been considering possible sites. I want to go soon and live away by the pond. But my friends ask what I will do when I get there. On the 4th of February, 1846, Thoreau gave a lecture in Concord. After I lectured here before this winter, he wrote, while at Walden, I heard that some of my townsmen had expected of me some account of my life at the pond. It was probably shortly after that date when Thoreau began to make journal entries for a possible lecture. I wish to say something tonight, not of and concerning the Chinese and Sandwich Islanders, but to and concerning you who hear me, who are said to live in New England. He did try to answer some of these inquiries in his Lyceum lectures of 10 and 17 February 1847, possibly in the previous month on January 19th, which formed the core of what became the first 2 chapters of Walden. And that ends the first page and the footnotes. Thanks to everyone who stopped in tonight. I really like the first page. I think it just jumps right in, lets you know what this is going to be about. He goes pretty directly into addressing how he's going to use the first person, the I. He says in most books, the I or first person is omitted, and in this one, it'll be retained. And he talks more about this, but, I think he just wanted to write something from his perspective that I think he would view would be more authentic, maybe. I don't know. I'd be curious what anyone else thinks about that. But interesting that he just brings it up right off the bat, first page. And he tells us pretty plainly what he's about to do here. So I respect that. And it draws me in, gets me interested. I hope you are too. And tomorrow we'll look some more at page 2, maybe 2 and 3 tomorrow in the footnotes. But in the meantime, I'm going to do some more research on who he was and try to bring that for tomorrow. And if anyone has any other things they'd like to discuss or bring into the conversation, I'd love to learn more. And hopefully we can all learn together. So thank you, and good night.